Okay. Like I just started the stream, and the wife decides to go on the back. It's like it's dark. It's scary. Howdy, howdy. How's it going, everybody? Just getting things all set up here. And changing the thumbnail on the YouTube. Hopefully, you guys are having a good night. We'll be catching up with a couple different things tonight. Is that no playlist? Yeah, no playlist. Save. There we go. Just gotta wait for it to finish. For some reason, YouTube decides to, that to take a little bit of time to save any changes that you're going through. All right. Yes, I understand. Yeah, that's another thing I'm going to talk about tonight. Is if when you set up or when you get ready to start a live stream through Riverside, um, especially on YouTube, it creates a live stream video, and it does it how many times you actually go into the studio. So I went like not into the studio, but to change certain things within the like the live stream title and all that. So it set up like two live stream videos. And let's see, share play. Oh, I am live. I don't know why. This is gonna. Yeah, I'm just trying to get my live chat going. So hopefully you guys have been doing pretty good. We're talking about setting up the community. I'm doing like that's where I'm gonna be recording the Maker Dad podcast episode for that. I know I was supposed to do that this Monday, this past Monday, but you know what? I didn't do it because I was being bad. And let's see. Hopefully, it's going to give me a. Let's see if I go to Play Studio, stream settings, and I want to copy that. I'm going to here, paste and go. There we go. All right. For some odd reason in SharePlay, if you don't go into like the chat doc, I guess after they made some changes, they did a lot of updates recently, so it didn't really sync up. So at least I still have it. Had to go get the new URL and then add that in. So it's good for now. All right, so going to chat, studio chat or public chat. So make sure I got your Twitch and YouTube channel live stream chat as well. Now I got Nala. I hear her meowing at the door because she wants to come in. 'Cause she knows the wifey is outside in the patio, and that's where she wants to be as well. I can hear meow. It's very sad. And I know I gotta shave. I've been very lazy in the past couple weeks, the past month, really. So I gotta shave this beard and the dome. It's time to clear the crop up there. All right, so let me go ahead and get this information up here real quick. That is the podcast. So I should do the dialed in or podcast first. We'll do it both. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I got the podcast talking points. Let's move that off to the side here so I can see your stuff here as well. Cool. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta get. Um, I can do that in a little bit here. So I have that off to the side. So at least I can get into the community side of things. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. All right, so let's actually get started. The real story behind community.themakerdad.com is the parts that, didn't make the announcement post and the trials and tribulations of trying to set up this new endeavor to go along with the makerdad.com is something that we're going to talk about tonight on tonight's episode. So let's actually get into the nit and gritty. Is it the nit and gritty or uh, the meat and potatoes, as it were? Um, so let's actually backtrack a little bit. When I started up the makerdad.com and this whole, thing that I've been doing for the past couple months, I wanted to actually have a spot or a section within the website, or at least part of the whole experience is where, a community to grow, where other people, like-minded individuals like creators and makers and anyone who is interested in the woodworking, arts and crafts, whatever kind of maker space, can come together and kind of share their experiences, their knowledge, and just be part of a good community that would be starting up and just getting started. The issue was trying to come up with a way to integrate that within to the website as a whole. Now, I had looked at a couple different things. One of them was different software, forum software. There is Zenforo, Envision Community. There's Discourse, NoBB. There's I already said Zenforo. There's like SMF. There's platforms like Circle and Mighty Networks and School. And I was trying to find a place that didn't cost an arm and a leg for a community that really has no one there yet and is just getting started. And I didn't want to get into a predicament where I'm being paid, or I'm paying uh like $100 a month for, let's say, for like a Mighty Networks community or a Circle community. and it's something that for a year be paying like $1,200, yeah, roughly about that for the next year, and nothing is happening. There's no one there. And that's one of the things I was kept wrestling about is, should I even start this? Should what platform? Should I start it on a forum? I want a little bit more than just a forum. So I had settled on using Envision Community. Now I already had the an active license for it, and the web hosting was already paid for the year. And I was like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and let's use this and see what we can set up. So let me actually show you what I'm talking about here. Um, just share my screen. So this is like the main page that you come into. I don't have the link up on the main site yet, but you can get to it at community.themakerdad.com. And I wanted a place that was a not really like a mere copy of the main site, but more in effect of its own thing, along with the community aspect. So I had set it up. I'm using Envision Community because, like I said, I already had a license to it, and it was just sitting there. So I'm like, might as well, right? Let's see what we can come up with. And I set up they have a plugin, or it's part of the whole system. It comes with like a blog, article system, downloads, a gallery, forums, commerce, and there's like one or two extra things. But anyways, the main point is that I wanted to have a section here for that brings in not just, like I said, a mirror copy of what is on the main site, but it is kind of like a retelling, and it includes also, it automatically posts a thread in the forums. So it's kind of like it pulls in the person into the comment section, and if they want to make a comment, then they can. So I have the pages set up that I've already copied and pasted. Um, quick, quick and dirty, what it looks like. So then you also have your forums here. So you have your different categories. It's just your typical forum. I'm still going through and setting this up, but if you go back to from the shop floor, which I renamed the article section. So if you go into this particular article, you get the quick summarization. It's just a rewrite with a link back to the main site. So if I click on that and go back to the main site, and also ask a question to, help encourage uh, community interaction with this particular post. So if you want to create a comment, what would happen is after you create a comment, it'll show up in the thread that's already made here. It'll show up here. So it uses the forum as a comment system. And I know with Ghost you can do that as well, but it's kind of like it's separate but the same. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but anyways, that was my theory of setting up this community and just getting it started. And that's really didn't want to do that, so I'll go ahead and stop sharing there. So it was trying to figure out the system to figure out what I wanted to use. That was one battle that I was going through and trying to figure out what should I use, because I know with Discourse you can set it up as a commenting system within Ghost, but I wasn't too let me backtrack. I'm impressed with discourse, but I kind of didn't want to go through that whole process because I wanted a system that I can set up a Patreon type of system for subscriptions, and also for selling digital plans. I can do that within Envision Community. I can set it up to kind of replace the Patreon site I have going currently. I know I haven't mentioned it or really advertised it as a whole. Um, but I just wanted something to that would take place of the Patreon and fourth wall. So I didn't want to deal with, the main site, Patreon, and fourth wall as like three separate systems. I wanted to kind of like condense it into one place where your community, the shop, and subscriptions or membership, I should say, and the community. I already said that. So one thing I wanted to do, why now? So, like I said, because I want to condense everything into one place with Ghost staying as the main SEO hub, because Ghost is actually really good of doing your SEO and making sure that whatever you're posting in your blog posts and newsletters and stuff like that is out there that can be crawled by search engines, which I'm sorry, but there's no more really search engines. They're all AI engines. So yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. But anyways, it's like I said, it's going to eventually take the place of a fourth wall on Patreon and the storefront and memberships, and it wants to keep it everything in line in one particular spot. That's the reason why I chose Envision Community, because it has those capabilities built into the software itself. Reason why I don't want to go with like Zenforo, because you have Zenforo is a great forum software, but if you want anything like commerce or anything else, you have to pay for the plugins, and that's just another thing that you have to install. And Envision Community, it's all built in. It's the core functionality of all this stuff is built into the main suite of the software. And the same thing is like this is the structure for the forums is having to go through all of this, um, figuring out what categories, the different sections inside the categories. And that was I was like weeks of trying to figure out what was the best way of going about this and getting it taken care of. Um, that's really the part that really, if you haven't done this, no one really sees it, because there's a lot of thinking and planning and a lot of A and B testing of trying to figure out what works and what looks great, and pretty much it's always going to be a work in progress. You have it set up how you want it for the next 6 months or a year, but down the line, if when you have people coming in and the community starts growing, it's going to start expanding to include sections for one particular niche of topics that, let's say, um, people are talking about power tools, for example. So, and it starts to overtake a section that you started out with. So you kind of say, all right, all this discussion can go into its own category or its own section, and it can live there and kind of freeze out uh, the whole niche being just this one section is only for this one place, and getting kind of overwhelmed with power tool discussion when other people want to talk about something else in that one particular section. So it's kind of like I said, it's always a work in progress. It's a dynamic system that you just have to keep an eye on. And if, like I said, if one section is growing, that's great. If another section is not as doing as well, then you can go ahead and um, merge it into something else or close it down, and until interest builds back up into that particular section, but it's just something that you have to just deal with. Um, so that's the actual work in of itself, is trying to figure out what to start out with, and it took a while, and I have it where it is now. There's a couple sections that I'll probably hide for now because it was the store and uh, the one section I forget, store, Q&A, and member feedback and suggestions. For right now, it that has now have nothing in there, so I'll probably set that up to be hidden for now. It's just there for just as a not like a placeholder, but it's just there. Um, so as you saw, I had the from the shop floor. That is a section. Like I said, I wanted to have kind of like a landing spot, as it were. So, people can come here and say, oh, these are different articles, because I didn't want to leave it generic just to have articles. I wanted to actually have a title. And, it's part of, the good enough mantra that I've been trying to cultivate. Um, Kind of like, with the newsletter, good enough. It's good enough. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. It's just going to be, there. Hey, Retro Grains, how's it going? So that's the reason why I titled it is from the shop floor, because it takes the main articles from the main page, and like I said, it's reworded to not be a carbon copy of the main, because it kind of would screw up the SEO of the main site, and that's why I don't want it to happen. Um, Going through my notes here is almost breaking it. The time and doubt of trying to figure out, is this the right path currently? That's what I kept struggling with for quite some time, is trying to figure out, is this the right time to start up the forums and the community side of the MakerDad aspect? And truthfully, it's probably not a good time, but it's there. It's something that I can have in place, that I can add to as I continue to create these videos and take the transcripts and turn them into blog posts and other stuff, and just repurposing the content, instead of 6 months from now, when having a community grown to like a couple people, and getting some conversation started, and then having to go through this whole process in the future. It's kind of already did the work, so it's there, it's ready to go. um so as you see, it's there. What I'll do is I'll have a link in the main page that goes um to this community, and it's just something out that it's going to be there, that I'm going to constantly have as an option for people to who want to join in and start discussions and learn about different things. It's just not going to be me, hopefully, in coming months, of being growing, um, blossoming flower, as it were. So yeah. So as it were, it's community.themakerdad.com. That's where it's going to be living until the end of time. So I wanted to, like I said, I just wanted to spend some time on this episode to, just stretch out the community building aspect of learning this stuff and doing it from the ground up. And reason why I wanted to use Envision Community instead of like Mighty Networks or Circle is because I already had the license for it, and when you look at it, it's cheaper in the long run. Instead of spending $100 a month, I'm paying like maybe $15-$20, I think. Math is not my strong suit, but hey, whatever. So, and the reason why I want to do this is because I wanted to have a place for a community instead of just the blog and the video side of things and the live streaming. So that's the reason why I did this whole, as this whole endeavor was to, get it out there and do the work. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And I can, you know, close it out. And, but that's a future time from like 6 months to a year from now. And if it's still no one is using it, then at that time I'll make that choice. But for now, it's there for people to enjoy. So if you enjoyed this episode, do leave a like and subscribe and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever podcast player of choice that you might enjoy. Until then, later, taters. All right, so this is the podcast recording. Yeah, so if it doesn't really go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. There's really no skin off my back. It's just, it's kind of like an exercise in doing something to, bring about, something that is a potential avenue. So if I go ahead and add, I just have to go into settings because I'm doing that right now. I'm setting up the link in the navigation bar on the website. Customize. So I do community, HTTPS, community. Make sure I'm spelling this right. .themakerdad.com. Okay. Saving, and done. So if I look at website, community, it'll take you. Just double check. So it is perfectly fine. There we go. Cool. It's all done. All right. So next is going to talk about setting up a podcast on Riverside. So if you ever have a podcast and you want a place to host it, that's a good option. And you do recording because that's what I'm using right now is using Riverside. So I did that last week. It's pretty much like it was a high overview of Riverside as a whole, what is possible. And tonight, I'm going to talk about the aspect of setting up your podcast inside of or setting up a new or moving your podcast to Riverside. So I got to get all this information, sign in. So if you guys have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to ask in the live chat. That's the reason why we do this. So I can bring up your questions on stream and then answer it on stream as well and be part of the episode of whatever I'm doing. Let's see, where is it? Disable redirect. There's redirect. All right, so I gotta do that. All right, so let me go ahead and get started here. All right, so since we last talked about Riverside, that was pretty much a high level overview of what you are capable of doing and all the different services or the different features that are part of the Riverside service as a whole. I decided to tonight, let's actually talk about one aspect, and that aspect is hosting your podcast episodes on Riverside itself. So I'm going to talk about getting ready or getting a new podcast set up, or in my case, moving a podcast, a already established podcast from another hosting provider to Riverside. So strap in, folks, because this is actually not going to be too bad. It's an easy process, and we'll walk through this step by step, essentially, not the whole thing, because again, like in my case, because I'm moving the Maker Dad podcast from my current host into Riverside. So I'm not going to be making a new podcast. I'll just show you. Let's stop talking and let's actually show what's going on here. So let me share my screen. All right, so there we go. So I got my dashboard is set up, ready to go. So what you want to do is once you log in, you have an account or you're using the trial, or let's say you do have an account and you want to go ahead and get this process started. You want to go ahead and click on the left here in the menu bar, hosting. This is going to take you to the podcast hosting side of things. So like I said, you can go ahead and if this is a brand new podcast, you're just starting, just go ahead and click on new podcast. You can create your title. It's going to ask you, or it requires a podcast cover art, or, yeah, for your podcast. And typically, what you want to do is have something that is uh, a picture of your artwork that is going to represent your podcast, and that's going to be about like the sizing is 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. So you want to make sure you have all this information. Um, on hand before you get started. Like, what's the podcast title? Make sure it's not taken up by another show, and it's not going to be a copy of your description. Like, what's your like a quick description of what your podcast is about, and all sorts of stuff like that. So, in my case, we're going to go to import a podcast. So I am going to go to the Maker Dad. And that's me. Riverside doesn't currently support imports from Riverside, huh? Nope. So I'm going to go ahead and get the RSS feed of my show. I need the RSS feed. Where is it? Ah. So I need to disable the copy protection for now. Distribution. Copy feed. There we go. So I'm switching from rss.com, stay alive, no interruption. Of course, analytics are not going to transfer over, so you would have to save that yourself, or you're pretty much starting over with your analytics in a new hosting. So let's import 6 episodes. So right now it's going to go through and pull your episodes from current host to Riverside. And that's what it's going through. If you have more episodes, it's going to take a little bit longer. But in my case, I only have 6 episodes right now. So as you see, all episodes are now on Riverside. So let's continue setup. So I need to get that taken care of. So I need to go into my dashboard and redirect. And so when you do a redirect, you want to make sure that you keep one of your old hosts that account for at least 30 to 45 days, just in case, sometimes certain places take a little bit longer to see the changes, and you want to make sure that all the stuff is taken care of. And continue with redirect. And let's move show. And that is good to go as far as that is concerned. So my show is now pretty much living on Riverside. So what I want to do is actually add the Apple Podcast. So I want to go and claim actually, I think I would have to go into the Apple Podcast Connect. Yeah. Oh, no, I can hold on. Copying the link from Apple Podcast. Maker, Dad. Sometimes some things don't work. How's it going, HTA? Howdy, howdy. All right, so I'm going in here, get the copy link. Connect. Huh. Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, things don't work out. So we're going to do where to find it. Yep, that's what I did. Copy link, good to know. Oh, setup. Okay, redirecting set Riverside as your host. It can take a while to okay, but we'll keep checking. All right, so like I said, this sometimes takes a couple minutes, so I'll refresh. Let me try again. Nope. So you're not going to be able to continue or move on to the next step until the feeds are kind of aligned. So from your old host moving over to Riverside. So what you want to do is make sure, give it like I said, a couple minutes. It shouldn't take too long, especially if your podcast is only especially only 6 episodes. Um, Longer or more episodes might take a little bit longer time, and also depending on you know how internet is, right? Because if you have all set up a website, you know about DNS propagation and how long that usually would take. So, old hosting provider is redirecting to Riverside, so that is fine. So I just gotta wait. And while we wait, we'll continue with some other stuff. But yeah, reason why I wanted to do this is because have everything underneath one roof. And the only thing I would not be using is the newsletter option because I already have that with Ghost. But it is what it is. I'll be because when you look at it, the hosting is, and if you go for anywhere else, it's going to be at least $20 a month. If you go with like uh, Captivate or Transistor or Buzzsprout or any other of the countless podcast hosting, then you also have your not your transcription, but um, editing, and you also have your recording capability for everything. So I know you can do this for free using like OBS or Meld, especially for recording, and you can use DaVinci Resolve and editing your episodes down manually. But ain't nobody got time for that. But if you wanted to do that for free to low cost, there are options. But if you wanted everything to be done inside one place for a reasonable amount per month, then Riverside is pretty much your it's a good solution. And there's other places like you can use Ecamm for your software for recording and live streaming. You can use Gling AI or Descript, and I know there's some other ones I can't remember or can't think of off the top of my head. So there are those options as well. So I'm just refreshing. Let's see if I can add the show. All right, so I just gotta wait for it to finish out here. So I'll have that still up there. But yeah, this is one of the things I was going through. I've been thinking about in the past couple weeks. Uh, is this whole move and getting it taken care of, and if I wanted to get the move started or even do it at all in the first place, and having to deal with accounts on multiple locations, multiple services. So this was like my thinking as I was going through this whole thought process is let's just have it underneath one roof. Is this be easier? It's faster. I don't have to go to different places. It's once I get done with the editing, I can automatically set it up to push it out to all the different locations and YouTube, and I don't have to worry about it too much. The only thing I'll be doing is, taking transcript through Claude to make sure it does that work that I've been doing for the past 6 months or so. Yeah, 6 months. Now, I'm also hoping that I did not screw things up because that would suck. Let me make sure, just in case. Yeah, that's fine. That's I did it correctly. 'Cause I'm sure I probably would have screwed something up. So what's going to happen next is that once Riverside sees the new feed or sees the redirect feed from the old host, you'll be able to set up your connections to either Apple Podcast. You can also set up to Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Deezer. Once it gets out to like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the smaller places like Pocket Cast and other um, RSS aggregators will be getting that information as well. So your podcast will live elsewhere, not just on these locations. Um, we can also look at, let's look at the website, view website. So let's actually show you here. So it gets a nice little um, website that you can use. So you can change it from light mode to dark mode. We'll set it up for dark mode. So you have all of your episodes listings here. If we go into each one, you have your show notes that you've set up already. You can also have your um, transcript that you put in. And of course, you can play the episode from the web browser. And it's all pretty much good to go. And you don't really need, I mean, there is places that you can use. There's, was it Podcast Stage? You can set up a website for your podcast, but that's also another added uh, per month cost. And then again, you're having to deal with another uh, service and another account. And this is my personal opinion. The podcast website doesn't really need to be anything too fancy, as long as it's a place that people can go to that has your episode listings and they can play it from there, or they can get the feed, RSS feed from it. That's perfectly fine. So you also have your about that you can uh, customize, and yeah. So switch back to here. We refresh, and I'll try this one more time. Invalid. Nope, that's because it is an invalid link. Doesn't match your podcast. Please check the link and try again. It is. So it's got to wait. So, like I said, sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it might take an hour or 24 hours. So have that in the back of your mind as you go through this whole process, that if it doesn't fully go through right then and there, give it some time, come back to it in like an hour. And then if it shows that it has been uh, transferred over, you'll be able to go ahead and connect your apps, no problem. So that's pretty much it. Really, you've got to this point in moving your podcast from one host to another. You're pretty much good to go. There's nothing really else you need to do. Once you connect the apps like YouTube, um, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the others, once those are taken care of, you're good to go. Your podcast is now living on Riverside. So if you have any questions about the whole process, or if you had any issues, like maybe it took a little bit longer, you had to talk to support, let me know in the comments down below. Definitely love to hear from you, and join a community. Just go to themakerdad.com and you'll see the link to our community. Happy to see you there. But until then, later, taters. And that is pretty much it for those two. So we got the podcast episode taken care of and dialed in episode taken care of. I am sitting pretty. One thing I do have to do is the thumbnails. So I gotta take care of. If I do now, I didn't see if hey St. Clinton, you podcasted for 10 years and burnt out. I mean, it happens. There was I used to do the 0 point report. God, I almost forgot the name. With two other people. We did it for like over 5 years. And for a lot of episodes. But yeah. And it got to the point where it's just like, it's time. And especially with because we were covering a game that was pretty much stuck in maintenance mode, and there really wasn't any new news coming out or any updates or anything like that. And we were kind of pulling at, bare threads for anything for each episode, because we're doing like every other week. And eventually it just came to a point where it's like, yep, nothing new. What do you do now? Yeah, I can understand that. So when I decided that's when I took the like couple months, I stopped doing the game streaming. I did pretty much nothing for like a couple months until I started the Maker Dad stuff, and I'm happy. I'll be even happier once I start making some stuff. It's just too damn hot out right now, and I got to do some filming of a project, the mailbox project. That's the priority project I have to do. But how's it going, St. Clinton? How you been? Yeah, it's only 110, but it's the dry heat. And let me give that refresh. You're lurking still? No problem. Always, always like people lurking. No matter where you lurk from, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, it feels like 100 with like 80% humidity. Just walking outside sucks. Yeah, I've been very inconsistent in the past month or two, but getting back on that horse. I was supposed to, again, like I said, I was supposed to stream on Mondays, because I've made it a point to do the podcast report recordings on Mondays, and then the dialed in where I take like a topic for like maker and creator type of topic, and that's why I do it on Thursdays. So I take those sections, those videos, I can put on the Maker Dad Tech YouTube channel. So at least I have, two pieces of content going out every week. And then from those, I can extract like a blog post out and other things. So yeah, I've been doing pretty good. I got the garage is pretty much ready to go for starting work on my woodworking projects. Like I said, I was gonna be doing the um, mailbox because ours is kind of on its last leg. Let me see if I show you what I've been thinking about. Excuse me. Uh, browse. So I had the plans. Excuse me. Tried to hit the mute button, but it didn't go through. Excuse me. So yeah, this is the mailbox design I've been wanting to get started. I mean, it's a simple project, but what am I doing? I don't know what I was doing there. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to get taken care of because, like I said, ours is on its last leg and probably will fall over in the next month or two. Yeah. Hey, Flux. Yeah, you've got mail. You've got mail. Whoopee. Yeah, you might be a millennial or a Gen Xer if you got that reference. Because once I'm going to start filming for that because I have two pieces of wood that we've been I don't know, I forget where it came from. I think from where the hell did it come from? Yeah, it's from an old um our old fence section that we replaced years ago. I don't know exactly where it came from, but anyways, we lived in Oakland. I bought one like that, and someone stole it within 72 hours. That's not cool. I know it's one of those things that you always hear about in the rural areas, uh, most notably, maybe in suburbs too. But kids going down the road, one of them leaning out, and it's just like pegging the mailboxes with a bat or something as they drive down the road. So that's always been something that you've heard throughout the history of time itself. But luckily, we haven't had that issue here in this area. And we just have, the kids on their bikes riding in the middle of the road and just being complete douchebags, especially during the summer because they're bored. Because we don't have any third places for kids to go to anymore. Malls really kind of suck. I mean, it depends on if your mall has one of those or doesn't have one of those like arcade bowling alley things. Then yeah, that might be a good place for them to go. But uh, any other place, it's there's non-existent. So what else they're gonna do is cause mayhem, and they do it quite well. Where they speed down the road on their e-bikes without any helmets, cutting in front of cars or blowing through stop signs. Yeah, because they're stupid kids. Now I feel like I need to yell at clouds kind of thing. All right, let me check this out one more time, see if it's connected. If not, I'll have to look again tomorrow. And it is not. That's okay. There are 3 boxes on the stand. I replaced the one that had because it was damaged after years. Bought the new one and it was stolen. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, that's mostly like in the rural areas, like the multiple mailboxes for like the multiple houses. So it's all the mail carrier only has to stop at one place instead of like 3 or 4 places. Yeah. So yeah, Mondays, live stream, same time. I'm gonna try to do it at let's go for 9:30. I think 9 o'clock is a little too early. So yeah, 9:30 on Monday. Oh, they didn't even take the other two. Uh, What a bunch of douchebags. So yeah, Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern is the live stream recording of the Maker Dad podcast. The Thursdays, basically tonight's, is the dialed in show, whatever you want to call it, where I talk about something that has to deal with maker creator space. So, that might be setting up OBS or um, setting up cameras in your studio or setting up a green screen. I don't know, whatever. I'll talk about anything. So I live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and SharePlay all at the same time. Coming to you live. We'll do it live. And it'll be Thursdays at 9:30 as well. And I'll make sure I'll be posting up on the social networks. I have the Blue Sky, Threads, and Mastodon. I don't do X Twitter. I stay away from that place. But yeah. I think that's about it. I had a good hour. That's our time. We'll see you next week. If not, if you don't show up, that's okay. If you lurk, that's fine. I know there's some people over on SharePlay that said that they're lurking. Hey, lurking is awesome. I don't I'm not one of those streamers that say if you have to say chat and say something in chat. That's not how it works. I'm easygoing. But yeah. But yeah, definitely check out themakerdad.com and the community that I started up there. I have a link in the header of the website. But until then, I'll see you guys next week on Monday. We'll do this all over again with different topics. But until then, have a good night. Later, taters.